So here's everything you wanted to know about the Steam Deck, and maybe something you didn't. Let's get into this. Hey friends, Axial GT here. Now I've been planning this video for a while, but every time I get started, something new pops up. And lately I've been breaking down the Valve Steam Deck developer information, figuring out what we actually need to know, and I wanted to be able to give you the latest, so it kept getting postponed. But here we are. But let's get the obvious out of the way. Originally, the Steam Deck was announced in July 2021. The deck was supposed to release by the end of the year 2021. Well, just like everything else in the world, the Steam Deck has been delayed to Q2 2022. Now some people are saying February, but I really don't see that as set in stone. But it does give us time to break down and analyze the Steam Deck and see if it might be worth a buy. But if you go on to enjoy content like this, be sure to like this video, share this video, and subscribe for future Axial GT content. I cover a mix of gaming and PC hardware, and this community would love to have you. With that out of the way, let's get started. Okay, first, a brief overview of the Steam Deck. This is Valve's first foray into the handheld gaming market, kind of like the Nintendo Switch. But unlike the Switch, the Steam Deck is a PC through and through. It uses a custom AMD Zen 2 chip with 4 cores with SMT enabled, giving you 8 threads. It clocks in at a base frequency of 2.4 GHz, boosting all the way up to 3.5. On the GPU side of things, we are dealing with AMD's RDNA 2 with 8 compute units, and with a GPU clock of 1 to 1.6 GHz. With all that in mind, this APU does all of this while using 4 to 15 watts of power, which is quite impressive. Valve got with AMD to create this custom chip from the ground up, balancing performance and power efficiency. As for memory, we're looking at 16 GB of LP DDR5 and a quad channel configuration, producing 5500 megatransfers per second. Storage wise, we have 3 options, and is the main difference when it comes to price of this hefty little handheld. We have a 64 GB eMMC option running 1X on PCIe Gen 2, a 256 GB NVMe SSD running at 4X on PCIe Gen 3, and finally a 512 GB NVMe SSD running on the same 4X Gen 3 PCIe, and their price does reflect the differences. But for more storage on all 3, the Steam Deck has a micro SD slot supporting SD, SDXC, and SDHC variants of your SD card. And as a side note, when buying an SD card, buy one with the fastest transfer rate you can get. Your games will thank you later. The display is 1280 by 800 pixels, giving it a 16 by 10 aspect ratio. And I've actually heard the question if that is HD or high definition. And yes, it is. 720p is considered high def, or standard high def. The Steam Deck is 800p, which is considered non-standard HD. But moving on, the screen is a touch screen that is 7 inches of real estate and has a 60Hz refresh rate. And another note, the more expensive option of the 512 GB has a glass screen. Whether that's worth it to you or not, that's actually up to you. The Steam Deck also has Bluetooth 5.0, dual band Wi-Fi for your 2.4 and 5 GHz bands, a multi-channel audio and display port over USB-C in case you want to hook up your TV or monitor. A standard USB-C is also on board. It has stereo speakers and dual microphone array, and also has a 3.5mm audio jack for your headsets or headphones. All this is running on a 40 watt-hour battery, theoretically giving you 2 to 8 hours of game time between charges. So I'd say keep your charger handy for extended playing sessions. Okay, that's the overview. I watched the 4-hour dev stream, so you wouldn't have to. Yeah, you can thank me later. 4-hour dev stream for information that could have been given in 30 minutes or less, or even in a PDF document. But anyway, I watched it, taking one for the team. And what was my takeaway? Well, Valve is running low on Steam Deck dev kits due to global supply chain issues, and don't get me started on that. But anyway, to get developers developing, Valve suggested a mini PC build to get them by, and it's been coined the Hackin' Deck. By purchasing a 7-inch monitor, 1280 by 800, and grabbing a mini PC running the Ryzen 7 3750H, you can have something comparable to the Steam Deck. The 3750H is running Vega 10 graphics, and the Steam Deck is touting RDNA 2. Valve admits the GPU is weaker in the mini PC, but the CPU side of the Ryzen APU is slightly stronger. Slap on Linux Manjaro and KDE Plasma for your operating system, and boom, you have something comparable to the Steam Deck, especially when running on the Steam Deck's resolution of 1280 by 800. And here's a question for you guys. Would you like to see that on the channel? I'd gladly throw together one of these little PCs and run some benchmarks on it. If you're interested, let me know in the comments below. Also brought up in the dev stream was game loading times. This keeps being an issue for obvious reasons. We all know that usually loading games off of an SD card can be painfully slow, and even the lowest Steam Deck option, coming with 64 gigabytes of eMMC, has people concerned. eMMC storage is almost like having an SD card soldered to the board, and has never really been known for speed. But Valve is trying to put everyone's minds at ease, showing the loading times on the differing respective systems, and Valve stating that even running games off the SD card will only take 18% longer to load versus the NVMe options. So let's say it takes 30 seconds to load a game off the NVMe. 18% longer means it loads in 35 to 36 seconds, I believe. When looked at it that way, it's really not all that much longer. And while I am skeptical of only a 5 or 6 second difference, given that analogy, I am holding out so I can test it myself. But one cool thing is if you use Steam on your desktop or laptop, which I am assuming you do, it's nice to know that all the features from your Steam account are present on the Steam Deck. Your cloud saves, achievements, and even Steam Workshop mods are all there. Now this new UI on the Steam Deck will eventually replace Big Picture mode, and will streamline how you interact with Steam. So it won't matter if you use a mouse, keyboard, the touchscreen, or a controller, how you get from here to there will all be the same. Steam Cloud Suspend is another major feature announced in the Steam Dev Stream, so shutting off your deck shouldn't hurt your progress in games. Turn the Steam Deck back on, and you can pick up right where you left off. And it's not a save game. You literally start up right where you left off. And it is syncable between all devices. Are you playing on your deck and want to switch to your desktop or laptop? With the sync feature, you can do that and also pick up right where you left off, which to me is a really nice feature. Another thing brought up is Steam Input, where you can remap all your buttons and triggers if you wish. And that might not be a big deal to some, but anyone who has played a keyboard and mouse game that doesn't have controller support, it can be a real pain in the ass to get them working with third-party software. This feature is built into the Steam Deck. Morrowind comes to mind when it comes to games not designed for controllers. Having this feature built in will be awesome. And Steam Input also saves on a per game basis, not a layout for all games. So it's looking like the Steam Deck is built for all types of gamers, and however you wish to play. It has a touchscreen for those who enjoy playing that way. Phone and tablet gamers, that feature is for you. Plus, of course, it also houses your on-screen keyboard. I do know many people get concerned about third-party apps and being stuck with only Steam. Yes, Steam has a huge library of games, but players want choice. Now the OS on the Steam Deck is set to read only by default, but just like on a phone, it has a way to enter dev mode to make changes or install third-party software, like the Epic Game Store for example. And I'm sure, love it or hate it, Fortnite is going to be played on the Steam Deck. Now another thing that Valve has stated was the replacement parts, like your joysticks, your triggers, etc. And yes, you will be able to get replacement parts from Valve for your Steam Deck. Now I did find some humor that Valve keeps bringing up. Things like these are not designed to be user replaceable or upgradable, but also produced a video giving you a breakdown on how to do it. I'm sure they have to do that for legal reasons, but I just enjoyed the irony. In a previous video I did discuss Proton and the Windows compatibility layer used by the Steam Deck, so you can play all your Windows games without a hitch. I will link that video in the description below if you're interested, but Proton is not an emulator. It's its own layer to translate Windows calls in games and have them work in Linux. Now I think I've covered the major points of what you need to know, but if you have any questions, be sure to ask them in the comments below, and I will do my best to answer them. A few things I'm curious about is, well, if Proton and SteamOS work flawlessly, and with ease, for a straight up gamer, what would that mean for Windows in the future? You could build a PC, never having to install Windows, and that's an interesting prospect. Linux coming into its own, and not having to be tied to Windows. For gaming, now I have one Linux PC, and have used Wine to run many PC games, but it's not all sugar and spice and everything nice. In some games, Wine has issues. Now AMD's FSR, or Fidelity FX Super Resolution, their open source scaling feature, used to boost FPS, is supported on the Steam Deck. And I will note, even though Nvidia's DLSS is supported in Proton, it will not be on the deck. All in all, I'm excited to get my hands on the Steam Deck. It will be exciting to play PC games on the go. I actually thought it might be fun to play games like New World on the commode, where I do my best thinking. But that's just me. But anyway friends, I hope you enjoyed the video and found something of interest. I have a more in-depth video coming on the state of PC gaming / building coming in the near future, and it might just make me some enemies, but be sure not to miss it. And don't forget to like and subscribe for future Axial GT content, and hit the bell to be notified of when I upload. So until next time my friends, I am out of here. You all have a good one.